Today's devotional is Smash the Jar and Set Your Heart Free. And it reminds us that loving Jesus means breaking what feels safe. Our Bible reading once again is Mark chapter 14 and verses 1 to 11. It was now 2 days before Passover and the festival of unleavened bread. The leading priests and the teachers of religious law were still looking for an opportunity to capture Jesus secretly and kill him. But not during the Passover celebration, they agreed, or the people may riot. Meanwhile, Jesus was in Bethany at the home of Simon, a man who had previously had leprosy. While he was eating, a woman came in with a beautiful alabaster jar of expensive perfume, made from essence of nard. She broke open the jar and poured the perfume over his head. Some of those at the table were indignant. Why waste such expensive perfume, they asked. It could have been sold for a year's wages and the money given to the poor. So they scolded her harshly. But Jesus replied, "Leave her alone. Why criticize her for doing such a good thing to me? You will always have the poor among you, and you can help them whenever you want to, but you will not always have me. She has done what she could, and has anointed my body for burial ahead of time. I tell you the truth, wherever the good news is preached throughout the world, this woman's deed will be remembered and discussed." Then Judas Iscariot, one of the 12 disciples, went to the leading priests to arrange to betray Jesus to them. They were delighted when they heard why he had come, and they promised to give him money. So he began looking for an opportunity to betray Jesus. One day, while St. Francis was praying, he received an answer. "O Francis, if you want to know my will, you must hate and despise all that which hitherto your body has loved and desired to possess. Once you begin to do this, all that formerly seemed sweet and pleasant to you will become bitter and unbearable, and instead the things that formerly made you shudder will bring you great sweetness and content." One day, as he was riding near Assisi, he met a leper. He had always been horrified by these sufferers, but he made a heroic effort and dismounted his horse, gave the leper a coin, and then kissed his hand. Some days later, Francis took a generous sum of money to the leper hospital. He gathered all the inmates together and gave them some of them alms, kissing each of their hands. What had seemed so repugnant to him had truly been turned into something pleasant. Strengthened by God's grace, he had been able to break the jar of his comfort and pride, and was enabled to obey God's command and love what he had hated, and abhor what he had hitherto wrongfully loved. We all have a jar. We all have something we hold dear, something that represents our security. For the woman in Mark 14, it was her alabaster jar of costly perfume. But in one bold, love-filled moment, she broke it open and poured it out on Jesus. She didn't just give a little, she gave everything. God often calls us to break our own jars. It might be our comfort. It might be our sense of control. It could be our pride. It might even be our material possessions. Often we hesitate. What if we lose what we treasure? But when we pour ourselves out for Jesus, we're never empty. We're filled with his presence in ways we never imagined. Consider what jar you might need to break. Maybe it's the need for approval, the comfort of routine, or even the reluctance to give sacrificially. Step beyond what feels safe. Say yes to that opportunity. Extend generosity even when it stretches you. Surrender control in an area where God is asking for trust. True worship often requires a costly step of faith. Lord, I don't want to hold back from you. Give me the courage to break my jar. Help me to surrender what I cling to, so that I may love and serve you fully. Let my worship be more than words. Let it be my life poured out for you. Amen. And today's reflection question is, what is something you're holding on to that God may be asking you to surrender. I hope to see you back here tomorrow for another Battle Drill Daily Devotional, as we think about when loving Jesus makes no sense.